Good morning, everybody. It's Randy here. Today I'm talking to Luciano and Ian, team members from SLiC, and we're going through the pitch deck, and we want to talk about different things that the SLiC team is doing and what we're looking to do in the future. First, Luciano, could you give us a little bit of background?
Sure. Background on the company. We are a data center play and we including as well in our data center, we including technology like ASIC for mining, GPU for altcoin, but as well with our GPU structure is including as well video rendering and artificial intelligence. We have been running now. The company SLiC is a company that was born about 16 months ago. We have been very successful on a seed fundraise. We're about to close it, matter of fact, and we're going to touch base this in a little bit. And we are getting ready to do our next step, which is to apply for Reg D and going through a Series A. This is just to give you a 10,000 foot overview of the company.
Okay, cool. Now, Ian, what do you do?
I'm the Chief Operating Officer of the company. I've come in, I've got a background in finance and consulting. So my job is to come in and help the guys execute the vision. So they've got a really solid strategy that's been through the ringer over the last 16 months. And we're now ready to execute, get that first round of institutional investment in, and then start propagating the world with the portable data concept from SLiC, which is a really exciting, innovative data center play that I'm personally just really thrilled to be part of.
Yeah, I am too. That's what really got me into it. And
what Randy, you guys might as well just say about yourself what you do for us.
Yeah, I handle the social media. I go out there and I help the community grow on the traditional social media networks, as well as the decentralized social media networks, where many of our people who would love what we do are going to be found. Mm-hmm. So I just do that every day. We talk about SLiC online.
And we miss another gentleman. His name is Dustin Jackson. He's at the moment not available, but Dustin and myself are the founders of SLiC. So just wanted to touch base quickly on that side. Okay.
All right. So I got a quick question. As far as the setup of the company, where are we based? What kind of company is it? If you can go into that a little bit.
Sure. So the company is an exec company in Bermuda. We've been set up in Bermuda specifically because of some very important innovations in the legislation there. In particular, the Digital Assets Business Act of 2018. We are in the process of modifying our incorporated status to make sure that we comply with their rules, in particular around the issuance of tokens. We have got partnerships in Bermuda, in particular with the Bermuda Development Agency, and also with a really innovative company called Blockchain Triangle, who are in the last few stages of having their entire distribution channel licensed by the Bermuda Monetary Authority. So it's all very exciting. And Bermuda, for all of the different jurisdictions, I'm based in Cayman, for example, but the Bermuda legislation is extremely complementary to SLiC's business model. So it's absolutely the perfect place for us to be incorporated and operate from. And with our Reg D, when we incorporate in the United States, the great thing is that Bermuda is very friendly in terms of the jurisdiction towards US shareholders as well. So all in all, the perfect place for us to be doing this kind of business.
And one of the reasons as well we went to Bermuda is because we saw our events, their legislation towards the digital asset was put in place. And matter of fact, just to touch quickly on the Reg D, even Commission Pierce from the SEC was giving the Bermuda government the praise, and you guys can find the article. It really she said that even the SEC, they should look at what Bermuda's done as a legislation in a country and to take some pointers of that. So that gave us the confidence, and that was the right place for us.
Yeah.
Okay,
and just one final point on that, Randy. They're actually as well. They're not on any blacklists. So there are certain jurisdictions in the Caribbean that have got EU blacklisting at the moment. We are very blessed that Bermuda has been given a clean bill of health by the European financial authorities as well. So all in all, Bermuda is absolutely the ideal jurisdiction for us to be operating from.
Okay, great. I just saw some great news recently that Bank of America came out and says that data centers are the top choice right now for business. Mm-hmm. So in this whole environment that we're dealing with around the world. Yeah. So could you expound on what we're doing as far as business is concerned?
Yeah, so we actually, it's a good one. Slide 17, Luke, is a good example of where we see ourselves. So the sectors that we operate in, we came out of the mining space, that is a fact, but we've evolved very rapidly. So we're doing some ASIC and ASIC resistant mining. Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash are important parts of the portfolio that we mine out. Ethereum's obviously the preeminent non-ASIC currency that we farm with our GPUs, that we mine with our GPUs rather. But we are in two other sectors of the economy which mark us out as a data center asset class, which is particularly in the rendering space, video rendering. You see esports is huge. You see the Formula One and the NASCAR guys are all competing online now with unbelievable quality in terms of the experience, the online experience, and that's all obviously using huge amounts, teraflops, petaflops of computing capability. And also artificial intelligence has already been on the radar for a number of years, and this is an area that we will grow into really aggressively over the next 1 to 2 years as we build out our customers. And the important fact about SLiC, as opposed to the massive data centers that the big four, such as Google, AWS, Azure, and IBM are building, is that our portable data centers are the modular, so they effectively are shippable around the world. So we'll be in that edge computing, fog computing space. We'll be at the edge of networks where networks are really struggling with traffic at the moment. We'll be able to be much closer to our data-intensive customers, universities, governments, corporations, where we can actually provide the compute power that are needed to power these extremely compute-intensive applications. Will be much closer to those customers, and therefore they have far fewer latency issues. So overall, we're a data center play in these three particular areas.
And I like the idea that I was reading that we can change the algorithm. So if things do slow down with the rendering or the artificial intelligence side, we could switch back to mining cryptocurrencies using our GPUs or Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash, things like that, with the ASIC and ASIC resistant digital.
Yeah, you've got it. So the model is extremely driven towards seeking yield. So the data center has got algorithm auto switching, but with a twist. So instead of having just mineable currencies, we can also reach out into these real world applications such as rendering, AI. I'm sure other use cases will come along, and we're always making sure that our hash rate is working to service the highest return for our stakeholders, our investors. So it's a natural extension, I suppose. It's an evolution of the mining model, just reaching very much into that sort of core data center space.
And if you look, Randy, if you look today, data center, then they are into the cryptocurrency scenes. They only do one thing. They just do mining. They do either ASIC resistor or they do GPU, calculations, and they don't include the rest. So we wanted to be a little bit different because we know we can. And originally, with our data center, which they are portable right away, we're going to touch base this now, perhaps in the next question. We can set a mixed environment between ASIC resistant and GPU. And we always had in place, even when we started this concept, as a plan B, then in case we were going to be not really successful anymore into the cryptocurrency space, that we could turn a data center into a regular data center. As we progress to our journey, we decided to combine the two plates together. And so now we have basically this model that Ian just explained.
Great, great. Now, as far as the PDCs are concerned, renewable energies and moving these around to jurisdictions where you can keep the costs down, how does that work? And could you tell the people that are looking to invest how that can be a better play for us?
Yeah, go for it, please.
Sure. So we, as you'll find with all data centers, you're looking at your power usage effectiveness, the PUEs. We have a PUE strategy of less than 1.05, and that is a combination of our immersion cooling technology, which is the sort of, the most effective way to remove heat from servers, which obviously spit out a huge amount of heat, not just from the cards, but also from the ambient temperature in the data center itself, the overhead cooling statistic. But we also, as a company, we have a philosophy that, as with most of the data center business now, is that the direction of travel now is towards renewable energy. The advantage that we have currently is that we're already in upstate New York, benefiting from the incredible prices you get from hydroelectric power. Mm-hmm. And you find that many miners are already in these hydro hotspots around the world. In particular, you've got places in Canada and Norway and places like that. But also we will be trying to, obviously we're not going to go and build a hydro power plant. But we are very interested as well in vertically integrated into other sources of renewable power over time. In particular, we see that wind is a very cost-effective play, obviously allied with batteries. Ditto solar. Solar is not quite there yet, but it is getting there. And then we've also got some interesting use cases with landfill gas and bio waste. So as a company, it's not just a philosophical thing. It's obviously an economics as well. We can't just buy renewables if they're expensive. We need to have the right cost case. But where those cost cases are obvious, we will be vertically integrated into these upcoming new technologies in the renewable space.
Yeah, and also as Ian mentioned, when we're looking for a location, we're trying to find location that have already an existing structure. It makes life easier for us. As you probably know, it's very expensive to set up a site when you have to have a substation, and you need to have step-down transformer, and you need to have lines. So at the moment, we have identified over 13, 14 locations around the United States and Canada, which we know then those two regions have an abundance of hydro and solar and wind. So this is the ideal background for us to start our operation. As mentioned, we are upstate New York. We have already another one identified in Texas. We have another one identified in Canada and plenty of others. So there is an abundance of power that we can use for our containerized solutions.
Okay, one note on this, Randy, as well. What's really incredible to note is the fact that with C19 raging across the world right now, you're seeing actually a lot of grids are really struggling with their base load in excess of the demands on the grid. I'm a UK national, and the national grid in the UK is really struggling because schools, office buildings, manufacturers aren't consuming power in the quantities they were before. So, like Luke says, there's actually quite a lot of power out there. And data centers are a really good use case for managing baseload. So we've got some really interesting aspects to our business. As the data center business in SLiC expands, we'll be able to strike PPAs, power purchase agreements with utilities, to act as a base case, as a baseload play, as well as the vertical integration. So power is a very important part of our business, and it's a huge cost of any data center.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. Now here's the big one. We're in the middle of fundraising right now. And in a couple of weeks, we're going to wrap up a round, and then we're going to be pursuing the Reg D and Series A. Could you go into that a little bit, Ian, and explain to everybody what's going on?
Yeah, so we're
Sure.
gonna start. This is our financial structure. Please, Ian.
So we had a great seed. We're pretty much there. We've got a couple of earmarks. We are predominantly financed out of the Caribbean. So we have finance coming in from Mexico, from Cayman, from Bermuda, and from Panama. So we're very represented.
And Jamaica. And Jamaica.
And Jamaica. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
So we've got some really interesting investors. We've been very lucky to have some really far-sighted individuals support us. We're obviously in jurisdictions as well where people are used to doing that kind of finance and that kind of size. So seed's gone very, very well. Happy that that's nearly over now, because it's obviously consumes quite a lot of work. But unfortunately, Reg D is going to be even more work. So we reckon Reg D will take us between 2 to 3 months from start to finish. We'll be working with our attorneys in Bermuda to incorporate our feeder funds in the United States. Make sure that we do everything that's compliant with the SEC's rules. We've got a good start with everything that we've done in Bermuda. And then once that Reg D application has been submitted and we've given the green light, then our Series A marketing will take place, optimistically maybe, but we're hoping that 1st July we'll kick off our first institutional raise. Very excited about that. We've got high hopes and already had some initial interest from some important names in the business. And the key thing about our Series A is it will help us give us our first sort of proper scaling. So we've gone beyond the sort of proof of concept. We're now going into production. And that equity going into our holdco in Bermuda will then be used to start manufacturing our portable data centers. I'm an ex-banker, so one of the platforms that banks have done for many, many years is this originate and distribution platform, where the bank will originate an asset class, whether that's auto loans or mortgages or corporate loans. And then what will happen is you then distribute them, so you transfer them into a special purpose vehicle, and then you issue units in those vehicles. The good thing for us is that the data center business is a fairly mature product now for investors, and they're predominantly funded using real estate investment trust, REITs. So obviously, being a digitally savvy company, we've decided to go down the REIT token route. So we will be working with the regulators across the world, but in particular in Bermuda and in the United States, to make sure that our REIT tokens are fit for purpose, comply with different regulations. And those REIT tokens will then be available for purchase after we've started to monetize on production PDC deployments. And those REIT tokens, people will then be able to buy units in those data centers to benefit from the revenue that is being generated from those data centers. So in a nutshell, we've got a fairly simple financial structure, but it's very scalable. And I think it's a really, it complements the current space in the data center world, but with some interesting twists. So pretty excited about the next 3 to 6 months.
All right, great. So if anybody out there is interested in checking us out or getting to know more about SLiC, how do they contact us?
Through our website, SLiC.io. There is a form on the website they can fill up and immediately gets to us. They can also use our email address, which is info@slic.io. And of course, all the beautiful social media channels that you have created. I mean, we have them all as well on the website. If you go towards the bottom, there are all the links for our social media to get in touch with us.
Great, great. Well, guys, thank you for this. I'm going to spread this all over, and I hope anybody who's interested contacts us right away. Thank you, Ian. Thank you, Luch.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Thank you, Randy.
All right, guys.
Stay safe.